Welcome back to my channel, guys. This video talks about the culture, the meaning, characteristic, and the function. So what is culture? Culture it refers to the sum of human being life ways, their behavior, beliefs, feelings, thoughts. So culture in the sense refers to certain personal characteristic of an individual. However, this is not sense in which the word culture is used and understood in social science. So next is the characteristic of culture. First, learned behavior. Second, culture is abstract. Third, culture is a pattern of learned behavior. Fourth, culture is the product of behavior. Fifth, culture includes attitudes, values, and knowledge. 6. Culture also includes material objects. 7. Culture is shared by the members of society. 8. Culture is super organic. 9. Culture is pervasive. 10. Culture is a way of life. 11. Culture is a human product. 12. Culture is idealistic. 13. Culture is transmitted among members of society. 14. Culture is continually changing. 15. Culture is variable. 16. Culture is an integrated system. And the last, language is the chief vehicle of culture. So first, learned behavior. Not all behavior is learned, but most of it is learned. Just like, for example, the ways in which a small child learns to handle a tyrannical father or a rejecting mother often affect the ways in which the child, 10 or 15 years later, the child can handle his relationship with other people. Next, culture is abstract. Culture exists in the mind or habits of the members of society. Culture is the shared ways of doing and thinking. So, culture, abstract, in other words, we cannot see culture as we can only see human behavior. So, next, culture is a pattern of learned behavior. Each person's behavior often depends upon some particular behavior of someone else. The point is that, as a general rule, behavior are somewhat integrated or organized with related behavior of other person. Next, culture is the product of behavior. Cultural learnings are the products of behavior. As the person behaves, there occur change in him. They are grown out of his previous behavior. So culture is the product of behavior. For example, the experience of other people are impressed on one as he grows up, and also many of his traits and abilities have grown out of his own past behavior. Next, culture includes attitudes, values, knowledge. There is widespread error in the thinking of many people who tend to regard the ideas, attitudes, and notions which they have as their own. For example, when there is a agreement with other people, it is largely unnoticed. But when there is a disagreement or difference, all is usually conscious of it. Next, culture also includes material objects. Man's behavior results in creating objects. Man merely modified their form, changed from a state in which they were to the state in which he now uses of them. For example, the chair was first tree which man surely did not make, but the chair is more than trees and the jet airplane is more than iron. Next is culture is shared by the members of society. The pattern of learned behavior and the result of behavior are possessed not by one or few persons, but usually by a large proportion. For example, among the Christian, there are Catholic and Protestant, liberal or conservation, are clergymen or as laymen. Next, culture is super organic. It implies that culture is somehow superior to nature. The word superorganic is useful when it implies what may be quite a different phenomenon from a cultural point of view. For example, a tree means different things to the botanist who studies the old man who uses it for shade in the late summer afternoon. Culture is pervasive. The pervasive it touches every aspect of life. For example, the pervasiveness of culture is manifest in two ways. First, culture provides an unquestioned context within which individual action and response take place. Not only emotional action but relational action are governed by cultural norms. Second, culture pervades social activities and institutions. Next, culture is a way of life, means simply the way of life of a people or their design for living. A culture is a historical derived system of explicitly and implicitly designed for living which tends to be shared by all or specially designed members of group. For example, the adolescent's cultural behavior can be generalized from for regularities in dress, mannerism, and conversation. Next, culture is a human product. Culture is a creation of society and an interaction and depends for its existence upon the continuance of society. So therefore, culture does not do anything on its own. It does not cause the individual to act in a particular way, nor does it make the normal individual into a maladjust one. In short, human product, it is not independently endowed with life. Next, culture is idealistic. Culture embodies the ideas and norms of a group. It is sum total of the ideal patterns and norms of behavior of a group. So culture consists of the intellectual, artistic, and social ideal and institution which the members of society profess and to which they strive to conform. Next, culture is transmitted among members of society. The cultural ways are learned by person from persons. Many of them are handed down by one's elder, by parents, teachers, and others. For example, the styles of dress, political views, and the use of recent labor-saving device. One does not acquire a behavior pattern spontaneously. He learns it. That means that someone teach him and he learns. Next, culture is continually changing. Some societies are sometimes changed slowly and hence, in comparison to other societies, seems not to be changing at all. But they are changing even though not obviously so. Next, culture is variable. Culture varies from society to society, group to group. For example, there are differences in behavior, outlook, and values between people from different societies. Next, culture is an integrated of culture. Culture possesses an order and system. Its various parts are integrated with each other and main new element which is introduced is also integrated. Next, language is the vehicle of culture. A specialist language pattern serves as a common bond to the members of a particular group or subculture. Culture is transmitted in a variety of ways. Language is one of the most important vehicles for perpetuating cultural patterns. To conclude, culture is everything which is socially learned and shared by the members of a society. It is culture in the wide focus of the world distinguishes individual from individual, group, group, and society. So next is the function of culture. First, culture defines situation. Second, culture defines attitudes, values, and goals. Third, culture defines myths, legends, and supernatural. Fourth, culture provides behavior patterns. Fifth, culture and society. So the first is culture defines situation. Each culture has many subtle cues which define each situation. It reveals whether one should prepare to fight, run, laugh, or make love. For example, suppose someone approaches you with right and outstretched waist level. So what does it mean? It means that he wishes to shake hands in friendly greetings and perfectly obvious is anyone familiar with our culture. And next, culture defines attitude, values, and goals. Each person learns in this culture what is good, true, and beautiful. Attitudes, values, and goals are defined by the culture. For example, we value private property, government, and many other things and experience. And next is culture defines myth, legends, and supernatural. Myths and legends are an important part of every culture. They may inspire and enforce effort and sacrifice and bring comfort in brave men. For example, ghosts are real to the people who believe in them and who act upon this belief. Next, culture provides behavior patterns. So the individual needs not to go through painful trial and error learning to know what foods can be eaten or how to live among people without fear. He finds a ready-made set of patterns awaiting him which he needs only to be learned and followed. For example, if men use culture to advance their purpose, it seems clear also that a culture imposes limits on human and activities. And last, culture and society. A society is an organized group of individuals. A culture is an organized group of learned responses. For example, a society cannot exist apart from a culture. A society is always made of persons and their groupings. People carry transmit culture, but they are not culture. No culture can exist except as it is embodied in society of man. Thank you for watching, guys. Keep safe and God bless. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button.